Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're getting into the really fascinating world of Paramhansa Yogaraj Shri Shaktiputra Ji Maharaj.
Yes, there's quite a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. We pulled together some interesting sources, things like an official world record entry, biographies, websites from his organizations, even transcripts from his YouTube talks.
It's a good mix. We get the official story, the personal background, the organization's own words, and, his direct teachings.
Exactly. So the plan is to really understand what are the core ideas here, what drives the organizations he set up, and what was the deal with that huge conch-blowing event.
Basically giving you a solid overview of his work and, well, his impact.
Right. Let's start at the beginning then, his early life. Before all the titles, who was he?
Okay. So he was born Shri Ramvaran Shukla. That was December 9th, 1960, in Bhadroaz village, Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
His family was an agricultural Brahmin family, so farming background, but also within that traditional priestly class structure in India.
And he had siblings.
Oh, yes. Youngest of 7, 5 brothers, 2 sisters. And an interesting point. His father, Shri Rambali Shukla, actually became a Dandi sannyasi later in life.
Really?
Yeah, took the name Swami Ramprasad Ashram Ji Maharaj in Varanasi. So he renounced worldly life for spiritual discipline.
Wow, so a spiritual path was sort of in the family? That must have had an influence.
It seems likely. The sources do say he was drawn to spirituality right from childhood, particularly devoted to the goddess Durga, the divine feminine power.
Right. But he didn't immediately jump into a purely spiritual life.
No, not right away. He got married in 1984 to Sushri Manorama Tripathi, and he actually ran a business for a little while.
Oh, okay.
But then in 1987, that seems to be the turning point. He decided to dedicate himself fully to spiritual pursuits, left the business path behind.
So a definite shift. And that eventually led him to founding these different organizations we mentioned.
Exactly. 3 main ones stand out in our sources. First, the Panchayoti Shaktitirth Siddhashram that was set up back in January 1997.
Okay, the Siddhashram first.
Then came the Bhagwati Manav Kalyan Sanktan, often just called BMKS, that was founded in 2001. It's described as a non-governmental spiritual organization.
BMKS, got it. Spiritual and social, maybe?
Seems that way. And then a bit later, in 2013, he established the Bharatiya Shakti Chetana Party, DSCP, so a political party.
Right, spiritual, social, and political. That's quite a spectrum. Why the political party, do you think, after the others were established?
That is interesting, isn't it? It suggests maybe wanting to influence things on a systemic level, not just individual change or social programs, but actually impacting governance, embedding his values there.
Trying to shape the system itself.
Perhaps. And as his influence grew, Shri Ramvaran Shukla became known by these various titles.
Yes, the honorifics. Things like a truth and omnipotent rishi, Yugjatana Purush.
Avatar Purush is another one. They definitely reflect the high regard his followers have for him, his perceived spiritual status.
And then there's that official record, the conch blowing.
Right, the International Book of Records recognition for the largest gathering blowing conch.
Over 100,000 people. The record itself said it was for the advancement of humanity and establishment of human values. I mean, the scale alone is striking.
It really is. And the stated purpose is key, isn't it? Not just breaking a record, but framed as this collective act for, human well-being and ethics.
Using the conch shell. That has a lot of spiritual meaning, right? But clearing negativity.
Exactly. Often used for auspicious starts, positive energy. So harnessing that symbolism on a massive scale seems very much aligned with the goals of the BMKS, the organization he founded in 2001.
Okay, let's dig into the BMKS a bit more then. You mentioned its goals. The sources say it was set up to fight the negative stuff of the current era, the Kali Yuga, and bring in a Satuga, an era of truth. That sounds huge.
Monumental, yeah. Kali Yuga, in Hindu thought, is this age of decline, less righteousness or dharma. So wanting to usher in Satuga, the age of truth, that's aiming for a fundamental societal transformation based on their spiritual view.
And they have specific aims, like fighting social issues.
Very specific. Things like eliminating violence, evil, the practice of untouchability, and the rigid caste system. And they strongly promote a certain lifestyle.
Yes.
Purely vegetarian, completely free from intoxicants and focused on chastity.
And how do they spread these ideas?
Yeah.
Through events.
Yes, primarily. Those Shakti Chaitanya Janjagran Shivirs seem central. These spiritual awakening champs apparently drawing hundreds of thousands of people.
Wow.
Plus awareness rallies, pushing for virtuous living, encouraging people to stand up against injustice. They also do mass recitations of the Shri Durga Chalisa.
So spiritual practice and social action combined.
And practical help, too. They run the Annapurna Bandara at the Siddhashram, which provides free meals, so there's a social welfare component.
Okay, a mix of things. Now let's shift to the Pancheti Shaktiputra Siddhashram. That was the first one he founded, right? 1997 in Madhya Pradesh. What's his main thing?
Its primary focus seems to be spiritual practice. A really key feature is the Akhand Shri Durga Chalisa path. That's a continuous, non-stop recitation of this specific scripture. And apparently it's been going since April 15th, 1997.
Non-stop since 1997. That's incredible dedication.
It really is. The name Panchayoti itself hints at a future goal, igniting 5 divine flames. Yoga Ani, representing spiritual energies.
So it's like a powerhouse for spiritual energy. Are there specific places within it?
Yeah, the sources mention a few. The temple for the nonstop Durga Chalisa path, obviously. Then a Mudwaj Satana temple for Deepa practices. A Mahashakti Yagyasthal, that's a place for major fire rituals, yagyas.
Okay.
There's also a Trishakti Goshala, which is a cow shelter. And the Samadhi, the memorial site for his father, the Dandi sannyasi.
You mentioned the Mahashakti Yagas, the fire rituals. The sources had something quite specific about those, didn't they? A resolution.
Yes, a sankalp. A sacred vow or resolution to perform 108 of these huge yagyas. The stated aim is to generate positive energy for the whole world.
108. That's a significant number in Hinduism.
It is, and they've completed 8 so far. And here's the really striking claim. Each one is said to have been followed by rainfall.
Rainfall. Seriously, that's quite a claim. Believing the rituals can influence weather?
It certainly points to a strong belief in the power of these ceremonies to impact the physical world, not just the spiritual. The Siddhashram also offers free food and lodging, by the way.
Right.
And they talk about Kundalini awakening that internal spiritual energy, though they do caution it takes a lot of practice.
So it's not like a quick fix.
Definitely not presented that way. They also actively campaign against things like animal sacrifice or offering alcohol to deities, calling them superstitions.
Okay, so the BMKS and the Siddhashram, both working on spiritual and social fronts, maybe with different methods. What about the political party? Again, the BSCP, founded in 2013. What's its platform?
Its stated goal is to promote clean governance, to fight against corruption, immorality, injustice, that sort of thing within politics.
But he's not running for office himself.
No, the sources are clear on that. He doesn't intend to contest elections. The idea seems to be guiding politics with dharma.
Dharma meaning righteousness, duty, ethics.
Exactly. So influencing politics from a moral standpoint rather than seeking power directly.
Interesting approach. Trying to infuse politics with values. So this leads us nicely into his core teachings.
Yeah.
What are the big ideas?
Well, a few things keep coming up. That emphasis on a pure life, vegetarian, no intoxicants, chastity, that's fundamental.
Okay.
Also, urging people to rise above discrimination, caste, creed, gender, all of it. He's strongly against animal slaughter, as we mentioned, and offering liquor to gods.
Any teachings around family or personal conduct?
Yes, promoting celibacy before marriage and also responsible family planning, suggesting limiting family size. And a big one is encouraging people to speak out.
Speak out against what?
Against immorality, against injustice. Don't just stand by. Take a stand.
So, personal responsibility and social action.
Definitely. His philosophy seems to rest on 3 pillars for success: Bhakti devotion, Gyan knowledge, and Atma Shakti, which means self-power, inner strength.
Bhakti, Gyan, Atma Shakti.
He really emphasizes that potential everyone has for spiritual awakening, for connecting with that divine self within.
And you mentioned he sometimes critiques other spiritual figures.
Yes, he seems to draw a line between what he sees as authentic spiritual seeking and, well, leaders who focus more on wealth or political connections. He contrasts seeking Atma Kalyan, true self-welfare, with just chasing material things or influence.
Got it. Okay, let's circle back quickly to that conch blowing event. October 2022. Largest gathering blowing conch. 100,000 people in the Mahashakti Shaknad Shavir. It just speaks volumes about the collective energy, right?
Absolutely. And it got that official recognition from the International Book of Records, crediting both Paramhansa Yogiraj Shri Shaktiputra Ji Maharaj and the BMKS. And again, the stated aim, improving humanity, strengthening human values. It's a powerful symbol of unity and purpose for his followers.
Definitely. Now, one last point from the sources, specifically a YouTube transcript. It mentioned a prediction.
Ah, yes. There was a mention of him predicting a significant drop in the world's population in the near future.
Really? Due to what?
It was framed in the context of various global challenges, but the transcript didn't detail them extensively. Still, it's a pretty stark prediction.
Yeah, definitely makes you stop and think. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for you, our listener. We've journeyed through the life and work of Paramhansa Yogaraj Shri Shaktiputra Maharaj. From his beginnings, his spiritual calling, to founding these major organizations, the Siddhashram, the BMKS, even the political party.
And that world record conch event really highlights the scale and commitment of his following, all aimed at this vision of societal change based on spiritual principles and human values.
Yeah, his teachings consistently push for personal purity, vegetarianism, no intoxicant social harmony, rejecting discrimination, and speaking out against injustice. It's all part of this goal to bring about what he sees as a more righteous era.
What stands out, I think, is this blend of deep spiritual practice with very direct social and even political engagement. It's not just inward-looking.
Right. And some really unique aspects like the mass conch blowing for humanity's sake, or the claims about the yagyas influencing rain.
And his own journey, giving up business for this path. Plus, founding a political party guided by dharma rather than personal ambition. It's quite a mix.
And that prediction about population decline adds another layer.
Definitely food for thought.
So if you want to dig deeper yourself, the websites are probably the best place to start. Agwadi Manav Kalyan Sengthan is bmks.in, and the Panchayoti Shaktitirth Siddhashram is siddhashramham.com.
Yeah, check those out. Or maybe search for Shakti Chaitanya Janjagran Shavir online to get a feel for those large gatherings.
It really raises questions, doesn't it, about how spirituality and social action connect, or maybe even should connect, in the world today. What part of this whole picture resonates most with you? It's certainly something to ponder.